The early October morning in Portland was colder than usual, the kind of chill that seeps into your bones and makes the world feel quieter than it actually is. The streets were slowly waking up. The hiss of buses, the jingle of coffee cups, the hurried footsteps of people already late for work. But amid the ordinary hum of city life, two small figures stood completely still. They were identical twins, maybe 6 years old, wearing oversized hoodies that hung loose on their tiny frames. Their brown hair was tangled from days of running through the streets, and their eyes told a story nobody seemed to notice. Fear, sadness, the weight of being invisible. The most heart-wrenching part? They were deaf. People walked past them. Some slowed down, glanced their way, then looked at their phones. Some smiled awkwardly and walked on. Some avoided eye contact completely. Nobody stopped. Nobody asked if they were okay. Except one man. Ethan Miller, 33, single dad, a construction worker with a 7-year-old daughter named Lily, and a heart that broke too easily for the world's indifference. He spotted the twins from across the street and felt something deep inside tighten. "Why are they out here alone?" he whispered, mostly to himself. Ethan didn't think. He didn't pause to rationalize. He crossed the street, ignoring the honking cars and pedestrians muttering behind him. As he got closer, the twins recoiled. Their hands gripped each other tightly, hiding behind one another. Their eyes were wide, wary, expecting someone to shout, to push, or worse, ignore them entirely. Ethan raised his hands slowly, palms open, to show he meant no harm. "It's okay. I'm not here to scare you," he said softly. They stared at him, confused. Reading lips didn't work. They couldn't hear his voice. And yet, he could feel the hesitation, the fear. Then he did something that made them freeze in place. He signed. "Hello." Their eyes widened. For the first time in days, maybe weeks, someone had spoken their language. Mia stepped forward hesitantly, followed by Emma. "Hello." Mia signed back, voiceless, trembling. Ethan smiled. He repeated the gesture slowly, patiently, making sure they felt safe. "Are you lost?" he signed. The younger twin nodded immediately. The older one pointed at an empty bus stop and signed. "Mom told us to wait. She didn't come back." Ethan's heart sank. "How long have you been waiting?" he signed, unsure if they understood the concept of time in the same way. Mia held up 4 fingers. Hours? Days? Ethan couldn't tell. Looking into their tiny, tear-streaked faces, he knew one thing clearly. These girls had been ignored by the world for far too long. Ethan felt a familiar ache in his chest. The day Lily's mother left them was etched into his memory. She had walked out with nothing but a sticky note. "I can't do this. She's your responsibility." Lily had been 3. He remembered the hollow look in her eyes, the way she clung to him, confused, hurt, abandoned. And now, he saw it in Mia and Emma. He knelt to their level. "It's okay. You're safe now. I promise." He signed, slowly, deliberately. The girls hesitated, then almost instinctively, they clung to him. And in that moment, Ethan's heart shifted. Something inside him decided. He would not let these children be invisible to the world. Not today. Not ever. "Let's go to the police," he signed. The twins recoiled, panicked. They shook their heads furiously, signing no, 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 repeatedly. Ethan stopped. He understood. He knelt lower. "Can I call someone? A friend? A neighbor?" he signed, soft and patient. Shaking their heads again, they communicated the truth he had feared. No home. "No home," Mia signed. "Mom left. She said she'd come back. She didn't," Emma added, her hands trembling. Ethan's throat tightened. 2 children, alone, cold, hungry, abandoned. And nobody noticed. Nobody cared. Except him. He looked at their hands, red from the cold, their thin hoodies that did little to protect them from October's chill. He made a decision that he signed slowly, deliberately. "Do you want to come with me? Just for tonight. A warm bed. Food. Safety." Mia looked at Emma. The younger one hesitated, then reached out for Ethan's hand. Ethan held it gently. "Let's get you somewhere safe," he signed. At that moment, Lily opened the door at home, curious and cautious. "Dad? Who are they?" Ethan knelt beside her. "These are Mia and Emma. They need a place to stay tonight." Lily studied them quietly, then extended her small hand. Lily, you can play with my toys. The twins looked at each other, then slowly they took her hand. But outside, the streets were still watching, still indifferent. Somewhere, their mother could be returning, or maybe she wouldn't. Somewhere, danger could still be waiting. And Ethan knew, keeping these girls safe for just one night was only the beginning. He didn't know what challenges tomorrow would bring, but for tonight, they were together. The evening sun was dipping behind the Portland skyline, painting the streets with long, amber shadows. Inside Ethan's small apartment, the air was warm for the first time in days, but the room was heavy with silence. Lily had led Mia and Emma into her little room, showing them her toys, but the twins remained shy, sitting on the edge of her bed, hugging each other like it was a lifeline. Ethan sat across from them, trying to think fast. He didn't know what the law required. Was it legal to bring them home? Would Child Protective Services, CPS, take them away immediately? His chest tightened at the thought. But he also knew one thing. He couldn't leave them outside. Ethan signed slowly, making sure each movement was deliberate. "You're safe tonight. No one will hurt you." Mia looked up with tear-stained cheeks. Emma rested her head against Ethan's arm, trembling. Suddenly, a faint knock at the door startled them. Everyone froze. "Who could that be?" Ethan whispered. He motioned for silence and carefully opened the peephole. No one. Only the empty corridor bathed in dim light. The twins held their breath. Ethan smiled nervously, realizing that even a simple knock could feel terrifying to children who had been abandoned before. Ethan poured 3 cups of hot chocolate, careful not to spill. He handed one to Mia, one to Emma, and one to Lily. The warmth of the chocolate seemed to soften them slightly, and tiny smiles began to appear. Ethan leaned back and thought about the next steps. He couldn't just keep them hidden in his apartment. He had to figure out CPS, social workers, emergency foster care, terms that he barely understood. And then there was the bigger question. What if their mother came back looking for them? Mia signed quietly, almost whispering, "We don't want to go back." Ethan felt his chest tighten. He understood. A mother who left once might not come back. And yet, he also knew the system might take them from him if he wasn't careful. The next day brought a new level of anxiety. Ethan had to go to work, and leaving 2 vulnerable children alone, even for a few hours, was unthinkable. He tried calling a friend who worked in childcare, but everyone was busy. Finally, he decided he would take them to the local community center, a place that sometimes helped children in emergency situations. It wasn't ideal, but it was safer than being alone on the streets. Mia and Emma held his hands tightly as they walked. Each passerby was a potential stranger, a potential threat. Ethan felt his heart pounding, not only for the twins' safety, but because he knew every step was a gamble. At the center, Ethan explained the situation to the receptionist, who looked hesitant but sympathetic. "These girls need help," he said. "They've been abandoned, and they're deaf." The receptionist nodded, making calls while Ethan waited, pacing back and forth. The twins sat quietly, still holding each other's hands, their eyes scanning the room nervously. While waiting, Ethan noticed a man loitering near the entrance. He was watching the twins intently, with a look that made Ethan's gut twist. There was something wrong with him, something predatory. Ethan's protective instincts kicked in. He crouched beside the twins and whispered, "Stay close. Don't let anyone touch you." The man lingered for a few moments longer, then finally walked away. Ethan exhaled sharply, realizing how close danger had been. He signed to the girls. "You're okay. He's gone." Mia clung to Ethan's arm. Emma buried her face in his chest. The vulnerability of these children made Ethan's resolve even stronger. They were his responsibility now, at least until someone trustworthy came along. By mid-morning, a social worker arrived. Her name was Mrs. Patel, a calm woman with gentle eyes and a reassuring smile. Ethan explained everything. How he found the twins, their mother's abandonment, their deafness, and the fear in their eyes. Mrs. Patel knelt to the girl's level, signing slowly. "You are safe. We're here to help." Mia and Emma hesitated, their small bodies tense. Then, after a long pause, they tentatively signed back. "Safe. Yes, she signed. Safe. Ethan watched them relax slightly, but he knew the relief was temporary. Once they left with Mrs. Patel, he might not see them again. He sat in his car after dropping them off, staring out at the gray morning sky. His mind raced. Should he fight the system? Should he file for custody? Should he try to locate their mother before anyone else could? Every scenario terrified him, but one thing was clear. He couldn't let these children go back to being invisible. He thought of Lily, waiting at home, and how she had accepted the twins immediately. If he could somehow keep them together, maybe they could form a little family, scarred but whole in their own imperfect way. The suspense hung thick in the air. Would the system allow it? Would the mother return? Would danger appear again? Ethan clenched the steering wheel, knowing tomorrow would bring answers, or more questions. The late morning sun filtered through the blinds of Ethan's apartment, casting long stripes across the floor. Mia and Emma had returned from the community center, escorted by Mrs. Patel, the social worker who had promised to keep them safe. Their small hands clung to Ethan's fingers as soon as the door closed behind them. "You're home," Mia signed, a mix of relief and fear still lingering in her eyes. "Yes," Ethan signed back, kneeling to meet their gaze. "You're safe. For now, at least." But the moment felt fragile. Fragile like the first snowflake of winter that might melt before it even touches the ground. Ethan knew the law would eventually catch up. CPS might come knocking any day, and there were rules he didn't understand. He could try to explain, but would anyone really listen to a single dad who had found two abandoned, deaf children on the streets? He had to prepare. He needed documents, affidavits, proof that he could provide a stable environment for these girls. But what scared him most wasn't the paperwork. It was the idea that the girls, who had survived being ignored by everyone, might be taken away from him and sent to strangers. He leaned back against the sofa, Lily climbing onto his lap. "Dad, they're staying, right?" she asked softly. "Yes, Lily, they're staying," he said aloud, though even he didn't know if it would last. Just as Ethan was planning his next steps, a sharp knock rattled the door. Ethan froze. His heart slammed at his chest. Who could it be? Mia and Emma clung to his legs, eyes wide. Cautiously, Ethan opened the peephole. A man in a dark coat stood outside. His face was obscured by the shadow of a hoodie, but there was something about his posture, the way he lingered too long at the doorway, that made Ethan's stomach turn. He stepped back and whispered to the girls, "Stay here. Don't open the door." The man knocked again, louder this time. Ethan called the police immediately. The twins huddled behind him, silent and tense. The officer arrived within minutes, but the man was gone, leaving only a cold wind and the echo of a threat. Ethan held the girls close. "You're safe now," he signed, but even he couldn't fully shake the fear. Someone had been watching them, and the city that ignored them before now seemed full of dangers waiting around every corner. The man knocked again, louder this time. Ethan called the police immediately. The twins huddled behind him, silent and tense. The officer arrived within minutes, but the man was gone, leaving only a cold wind and the echo of a threat. Ethan held the girls close. "You're safe now," he signed, but even he couldn't fully shake the fear. Someone had been watching them, and the city that ignored them before now seemed full of dangers waiting around every corner. The afternoon brought some calm. Ethan brought out board games and snacks. Lily guided the twins, showing them how to play. Slowly, they started laughing, small, hesitant giggles that echoed in the apartment like fragile music. Ethan watched them. Their laughter reminded him why he had chosen to act when no one else had. Even in the midst of fear and uncertainty, these girls had the capacity to heal, if only they had someone who truly cared. He signed to Mia, "You're brave. You're safe. I will protect you." Mia's lips quivered, and she nodded. Emma rested her head against Ethan's chest again, a silent gesture of trust that Ethan felt deep in his soul. Just as evening approached, a knock came at the door, different this time. A small, hesitant knock. Ethan felt his chest tighten. Could it be her? Could it be the mother who had abandoned them? He peeked through the peephole. A woman, frail, tired, eyes full of guilt and fear, stood there. She hesitated, looking down at the ground. Mia and Emma had peeked too, recognizing the familiar figure. Their small bodies stiffened. Ethan whispered to them, "Stay behind me." The mother's voice trembled as she spoke. I just want to see them. I didn't mean, I. Ethan's mind raced. Should he let her in? Could he trust her? Or was this a trap? Another form of abandonment or danger? The twins' hands clutched as tightly. Their trust was in him. And for the first time, the weight of being responsible for another person's survival felt heavier than any construction site he had ever worked on. Ethan faced the hardest decision of his life. He could call the authorities and let them handle the mother's appearance. Or he could try to reason with her, risking everything, including the girl's safety and the fragile trust they had placed in him. Mia and Emma were silent, but their fear was palpable. Lily watched nervously from the corner, understanding more than she should for a 7-year-old. Ethan inhaled deeply. He signed slowly, deliberately. "I need to protect you. That's my job. Will you trust me?" The twins nodded almost imperceptibly. Their small gesture broke something inside Ethan. An unspoken bond of trust had been formed, stronger than any fear outside the door. And in that moment, he realized that protecting them wasn't just about keeping them physically safe. It was about healing the scars of abandonment, one small moment of love at a time. The mother's knock lingered in the hallway like a shadow. Ethan knew that what happened next could change everything. She could be remorseful, or she could make things worse. The uncertainty hung in the apartment like a storm ready to break. For now, he held the twins close, feeling their small, trembling hands. He whispered silently, "No matter what comes, I won't let anyone hurt you. Not today. Not ever." Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the drama unfolding in a small Portland apartment. But inside, a family, broken, unconventional, but bound by love, was forming one tense emotional moment at a time. And Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The next morning, Portland was quiet, almost too quiet. Ethan drove the twins and Lily to the courthouse, the car heavy with tension. Mia and Emma held his hands tightly, their fingers intertwined with his, as if drawing strength from his presence. Lily sat in the back, quiet but alert, her 7-year-old mind trying to understand why grown-ups made decisions that could change everything in a single day. Ethan's stomach churned. He had never been inside a courtroom before. He knew this would test him like nothing else. His ability to speak, to advocate, to protect the girls legally. But most importantly, he feared losing them to a system that didn't see their faces, didn't hear their voices, didn't know their story. They sat in a small, beige waiting room. The twins' eyes darted nervously to everyone around. Ethan signed gently to them. "I'm here. I won't let anything happen to you." Mia leaned against him, trying to steady her trembling. Emma's thumb found its way to Ethan's hand, a silent anchor in a storm of uncertainty. Time dragged. Every tick of the clock felt amplified, echoing their anxiety. Then, the door opened. A social worker motioned them in. Ethan held the twins close as they walked down the long hallway to the courtroom. Inside, the judge's gavel hit the bench. Ethan's stomach tightened. Across from him, the mother sat with her lawyer. Her eyes were downcast, but the tension radiated from her like heat. The judge spoke first, reviewing the case briefly. The girls had been reported as abandoned, their welfare in question. Ethan listened carefully. Then came the mother's statement. I made a mistake. I didn't mean to leave them," she said softly, her hands shaking. I couldn't handle it. I wanted to come back." Ethan's fist tightened. Could he trust her? Could she really change? Or was this another empty promise? The social worker testified about the twins' state when Ethan found them. Haggard, hungry, cold, and terrified. She described Ethan's care, the warmth, the safety he provided, and how the twins had begun to bond with him. The room was heavy with emotion. Ethan swallowed hard, keeping his hands steady, focusing on the twins, trying not to let the fear in his chest show. The judge looked at the twins and asked if they wanted to speak. Mia and Emma were silent, unsure, scared. Then Ethan signed to them. "It's okay. You can tell the judge what you feel." Mia nodded and signed. "We are scared. We want to stay with Ethan. He keeps us safe. He cares." Emma signed in agreement, holding onto Mia's hand. The courtroom fell silent. The twins' small voices, expressed through their hands, carried more weight than any words could. Just as Ethan felt hope, the mother's lawyer objected. He argued that Ethan was a single dad, unprepared to care for two more children permanently, and that the girls needed their mother's guidance. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He signed to the twins. "No matter what happens, I won't leave you." The judge nodded thoughtfully. It was clear she wanted to make the best decision for the girls, not just what was convenient or safe legally. But the suspense was unbearable. Ethan didn't know if he had done enough to prove his love, his stability, his commitment. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. After what felt like hours, the judge finally spoke. Based on the evidence, the testimony of the social worker, and the expressed wishes of the children, temporary custody will be granted to Ethan Miller. The mother may have supervised visits, but the children's safety and stability are the priority. Relief crashed over Ethan like waves. He exhaled, feeling the weight lift from his shoulders. Mia and Emma hugged him tightly, silent tears streaming down their faces. Lily ran up and wrapped her arms around them all. For a moment, the courtroom was not a place of judgment, but a place where hearts beat together in relief and gratitude. Walking out of the courthouse, Ethan held the twins close. He knew this was only the beginning. There would be challenges, adjustments, and maybe even moments of doubt. But for now, they were safe. They were together. And for Ethan, that was everything. He looked down at Mia and Emma. "You're my family now. I will do everything to keep you safe." The girls nodded, their tiny hands gripping his tightly. And for the first time, Ethan felt the full weight and beauty of his responsibility, not just as a parent to Lily, but as a protector of lives that had almost been forgotten by the world. Outside, the sun was setting over Portland, casting the streets in a warm, golden glow. The city moved on, unaware of the drama and triumph that had unfolded in a small courthouse. But inside Ethan's heart, a new story of love, trust, and courage had begun, one that would shape all their lives forever. Back at home, the apartment was quiet for a moment, but it felt warmer than ever. Ethan had prepared a small dinner for the twins and Lily: mac and cheese, hot cocoa, and fresh fruit. The smell filled the kitchen, a small comfort after days of uncertainty, cold streets, and fear. Mia and Emma were still shy, watching Ethan move around the kitchen. But Lily, ever the little social ambassador, took their hands and guided them to the dining table. "Here, sit here. This is your plate," Lily said softly, pointing to a chair next to her. The twins exchanged glances and then sat, still tense, but slowly beginning to trust. Ethan signed to the girls. "Eat slowly. Take your time. You're safe here." Mia smiled faintly. Emma followed suit. It was a small victory, but Ethan knew that normalcy for these girls would take time. Every meal, every bedtime story, every moment of patience was building trust, a trust that had been missing from their lives for far too long. Lily added, "We can read a story after dinner." The twins' eyes widened, the first spark of curiosity and childlike excitement in days. Ethan watched them, heart swelling. The room was alive with small but significant movements, giggles, whispered signing, and the soft shuffle of little feet exploring a safe space for the first time in a long while. Just as Ethan felt relief, a shadow fell across the doorway. The mother had returned. This time, she wasn't alone. A counselor accompanied her, likely ensuring that the visit was safe. Ethan took a deep breath, bracing himself. The twins froze. Mia and Emma clutched each other, signaling their fear and hesitation. He signed quickly. "Stay close to me. I'm here. No one can hurt you." The mother knelt slowly, at a respectful distance, signing cautiously. "I am sorry. I made a mistake. I didn't know what else to do. Can you forgive me?" Mia and Emma looked at each other, unsure. Then Mia slowly signed. "You left us alone. We were scared." Emma signed next. He signed firmly, carefully. "I will protect you. You have a voice here. You have a choice. Nobody can take that away from you tonight." The mother nodded, tears streaming silently. She understood. For the first time, She recognized the depth of the damage her absence had caused. The counselor guided the mother to sit nearby, but not too close. Ethan signed to the twins. "You decide. You are safe. Take your time." It was a long pause. The girls looked at Ethan, then Lily, then back at the mother. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Mia signed. "We want to stay with him." Emma nodded silently, signing agreement. Ethan's heart swelled, but he didn't show it too much. He just pulled them close, whispering silently, "I've got you. Always." Later that night, Ethan tucked all three girls into bed. Lily fell asleep quickly, exhausted from playing host, while Mia and Emma lay stiff, slowly unwinding in the warmth of their new sanctuary. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, signing softly. "I'm proud of you. You were brave today. You survived. And now, you can start to heal." Mia yawned, a small smile creeping onto her face. Emma nestled closer. Their trust in Ethan had grown just enough for them to feel something close to safety. Ethan reflected on the day. The system, the mother, the danger outside. None of it mattered as much as this moment. The girls were alive. They were safe, and they were beginning to feel loved. Outside, Portland streets were indifferent, bustling with people unaware of the small victories inside a modest apartment. But inside, love had begun to take root, fragile yet persistent. Ethan knew challenges weren't over. Legal battles, emotional scars, and the mother's unpredictable behavior were all ahead. But for now, the first victories had been won. Mia whispered quietly, almost audibly, "Thank you for not leaving us." Ethan signed back, his heart full. "Never. I promise." And in that moment, a family had begun to form, scarred, imperfect, yet filled with courage, love, and hope. Tomorrow might bring more hurdles. Tomorrow might bring tears. But tonight they were together, safe, alive, loved. Ethan knew challenges weren't over. Legal battles, emotional scars, and the mother's unpredictable behavior were all ahead. But for now, the first victories had been won. Mia whispered quietly, almost audibly, "Thank you for not leaving us." Ethan signed back, his heart full. "Never. I promise." And in that moment, a family had begun to form, scarred, imperfect, yet filled with courage, love, and hope. Tomorrow might bring more hurdles. Tomorrow might bring tears. But tonight they were together, safe, alive, loved. The morning sun poured through the windows, bathing the apartment in soft golden light. Ethan was already awake, sipping coffee and watching Mia and Emma play quietly with Lily. For the first time in days, the girls laughed without fear, their giggles filling the room like fragile music. The sense of calm, however, was still fragile. Ethan knew the mother might return for supervised visits, that CPS reports would continue, and that the road ahead would not be easy. But for now, he focused on what truly mattered. The children in front of him, safe, alive, and slowly trusting the world again. Later that morning, the mother arrived again, accompanied by a counselor. This time, the atmosphere was different, less tense, more tentative. She knelt a few feet away from the girls, her hands trembling. Ethan signed quickly to Mia and Emma. "You are safe. You can speak through signs. You decide what to do." Mia glanced at Ethan, then at her mother, before finally signing. "We are scared, but we want to understand." Emma nodded, holding her sister's hand. The mother signed back slowly. "I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. I should never have left you alone. Can you forgive me?" Ethan felt a mixture of relief and caution. Forgiveness might take time, but he knew the girls needed to see that their voices mattered and that they could set boundaries while still opening the door to healing. Ethan signed to the twins. "You decide. It's your choice. Nobody will force you." Mia took a deep breath and signed. "We want to stay with Ethan for now. We feel safe." Emma nodded silently. The mother lowered her head, tears glistening. She signed back softly. "I understand. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust." For Ethan, this was a pivotal moment. The mother's remorse was genuine, yet the priority remained clear: the twins' safety and emotional healing. Days turned into weeks. Ethan, Lily, Mia, and Emma settled into a new rhythm. Meals, bedtime stories, school mornings, homework, and playtime, ordinary routines that had once seemed impossible, became the backbone of healing. Ethan signed constantly, teaching Mia and Emma basic words, letters, and numbers. Lily helped them adapt, translating the simplest things. Slowly, the apartment transformed from a temporary refuge into a home filled with laughter, safety, and love. The twins began to trust again. Their fear of abandonment slowly melted into curiosity and joy. For the first time, Mia painted with her hands freely. Emma hummed a tune, even though she couldn't hear it, feeling the vibration of the music through Ethan's old stereo. Ethan watched, heart full, realizing that love, consistency, patience, and protection could mend even the deepest scars. Over time, supervised visits continued. The mother showed patience, humility, and dedication to rebuilding the fractured relationship. She learned American Sign Language alongside the girls, slowly earning their trust. Ethan remained protective, but he also allowed moments of connection. Mia and Emma learned that forgiveness was not weakness. It was a choice, a tool to rebuild their world carefully, step by step. Even as the mother grew more involved, the girls knew that Ethan was their anchor, the person who saved them when the world looked away. One evening, the family gathered in the living room. Lily had placed a blanket fort in the middle. The girls were holding hands, and Ethan sat nearby. Mia signed, "Thank you for saving us." Emma nodded, signing, "We love you, Dad." Tears welled in Ethan's eyes. He pulled them both close, signing back, "I love you both. Always." Lily hugged them tightly, whispering, "Family is love, Dad. That's all it takes." For the first time, Ethan realized that family wasn't defined by biology alone. It was defined by who shows up, who protects, and who loves when no one else. Months later, in a courtroom, the final custody decision was made. Ethan received permanent custody of Mia and Emma, while their mother continued supervised visits, learning to rebuild trust. The judge remarked, "Safety, love, and stability must come first. These children have found that with Mr. Miller, and the court acknowledges the positive environment he has provided." Ethan signed to the twins quietly, "This is your home, your choice, your family." Mia and Emma smiled, clinging to him. Lily kissed their foreheads, and in that moment, a fractured world felt whole again. Outside, Portland streets were busy, indifferent to the small victories inside. But inside the apartment, love, trust, and healing filled every corner. Ethan had not only rescued the twins from the streets, but also from a lifetime of neglect and invisibility. And together, they had begun a new chapter, a chapter where safety, family, and unconditional love define the future.